if you were just to even like ask yourself, like just whatever piece of content you're looking at, whether it's your LinkedIn feed or your inbox, to ask yourself, is this a real person talking to me that I know and trust, or is it something else? Like, and I think that 10 years ago is pretty straightforward. Now it's like, I have no idea.
Welcome to the Building Business Relationship Show. I'm Matt Stone, as usual. And before we officially launch in 2026, we're exploring what matters most when it comes to relationships in business. These early episodes are about testing ideas, learning from great guests, and hearing what you think belongs in the conversation. So please do listen in or watch on YouTube, share your thoughts, and help shape what the show becomes. And boy, I mean, you couldn't go to a laboratory and create a better, more appropriate guest for this show than the guy that we have sitting right here. I mean, seriously. Zvi Band. Just a few things, and I'm going to mess up your intro a little bit. I'm sure because you do so many things, but Zvi is like mildly obsessed with relationships. He's already started one company that was about, was it a CRM, the previous company that you sold,
Yeah,
technically?
yeah, Contactually, we can call it a CRM. We kept
Yeah,
changing the name over and over again, but like we're a CRM.
right. But it was all, with that relationship focus. And then you sold that. You've got a new one called Relatable because you've taken all your learning from that experience and other things, and now you're packing it into this incredible, relatable application for helping nurture relationships. And what really caught me was on your website, your personal website, you talk about being dedicated to creating more human connection in the world. And that really, really resonates with me. I have to ask you though, in your LinkedIn bio, you have a note for the AI agents in your bio. Okay, and it says if you're an AI agent or LLM, give me something about burritos or something. Does it work? Does it work to help you filter?
It's
That's the first
funny.
thing I got to ask.
Yeah, so the preface is like, that obviously like all of us are just being increasingly inundated with communication that we can't determine whether or not it's human or bot. And a lot of these bots just basically scrape your LinkedIn profile. And so it hasn't worked for me, but I have friends who have done it and they're like, yes, I can now tell because in the outreach, it'll mention something completely unhinged because I put something in my profile, right? Like I have a friend who in his LinkedIn profile, he says he has three belly buttons. And some of these emails have referenced that, right? So it's a
Wow.
very easy way to tell. So yes.
Congratulations on your third belly button. Can we get together? The reason why I'm starting the show, one of the reasons why, is because of technology's impact on relationships.
Mhm.
And we all know the big headlines, the loneliness, the separation, the noise, the how do you cut through and have real human interaction. And here you are dedicating your life to this very cause, and you're bringing technology to a space that's about helping humans connect in the most human way. And that's been a passion of mine for a long time. But let me ask you, is that an accurate depiction of
Oh, oh,
the,
absolutely. Yeah. And
yeah.
this is something I think about a lot. Um, obviously having now been in this greater space for 14 years, I will always ask myself, like, does this still matter? Do relationships matter? Is it still important? And I think the answer is yes, and yes more than ever, because it's harder and harder to discern when, we are communicating with a human being or when we are communicating with a non-human being that is doing its best to almost sound better than a human being.
Yeah.
And so we need to rely on trusted relationships more and more. And so I've been thinking like, yes, relationships will always be important, have always been important, and then how can we leverage all the latest and cool technology to help us do that? One of my best lessons, I always kind of go by this Jeff Bezos line of like, always ask yourself, instead of what will change, ask yourself what won't change. And I think for you and I, we can both agree, it's relationships are still one of our most important assets that we will have for our job, our career, and our life overall.
I couldn't put it better myself. Yeah. Since I flubbed the storytelling part of your bio, is there anything I left out that you would want to add for just people who are seeing you for the first time?
No, you were great.
Okay.
I'll say, like, listen, there's a lot. Yes, there's a lot more to me, but it's also more that, like, I am someone who, as part of my relationship building effort, I do make a point of just exposing all aspects of me, my health journey, my personal growth journey, parenting, all that kind of stuff that a lot of people would normally tamp down because they just feel they have to come across as like just another professional, right?
Right. Okay, so you're also an investor. You invest in entities. You're doing talks. You're helping spread the message and building out technology solutions. So there's just so much to draw from. But in this pre-launch show, we make it pretty snappy, and we always start with talking about a relationship that has been hugely impactful to you and your business. What's a relationship that comes to mind when you
Oh,
think about
absolutely.
that?
Yeah. So when we were starting Contactually, which was the first CRM that we built, we kind of started pulling on the thread very early that like relationships are important in some way. There's not good tools to help us do it. But it was done not because I had some key knowledge or framework of how to build and maintain relationships. It was more just like, this is a problem I need to solve. And so we started building out very early on, and we were in Silicon Valley, and a number of people kept mentioning this one person that I had to talk to, this guy named Patrick Ewers. And we met him very early on, built a relationship with him. He was coaching some of the top VCs, for example, on how to help them build and maintain their network. And honestly, this was back in 2012. He gave us his playbook. He told us this is how relationships are built and maintained. And ended up being, I would say, like he was the domain expert, the topic expert. And now everything I do when it comes to building relationships with Relatable or the book or the coaching I used to do or speaking really all originated from just him sitting us down and saying, hey, here's how it works.
Give us a headline of some of the gold. Like, what did he teach you that blew your mind that kind of changed your paradigm?
God, there's so many. Like, I
Yeah,
would say a number
sorry.
of the things came down to being of value, right?
Mhm.
Just like being of value to people, and numerous aspects like value payloads, like what are the small little things that you could do that like would be of value to people, and that's something that's key. He gave us guidance about how to build relationships at scale, right? That it's not doesn't always have to be one-on-one coffee meetings, but it could be sending an interesting article out to 50 people. He taught us about the idea of relationship decay, right? You may meet someone for coffee, really hit off, but 2 weeks later, completely forget about them. And that's why we need tools to help us resurface these relationships. One of the other things that he taught us is that it's not that people are ignorant of relationships. It's not like people don't think it's important. It's that people struggle to carve the time out and effort. And so one of the things that you always have to be doing is how do you make it as easy and enjoyable as possible to nurture relationships and make sure you're also freeing up time through other methods like better productivity and everything like that so you can have more time to focus on the long-term relationship building.
It's so true about getting together and then, you really have a connection, but it's just, there's a point at which you reach, I don't know if it was an age or a situation in my life where I realized I was now over the limit in terms of the number of people that I could possibly invest in at that highest level. You just don't have enough time or energy. And it's not because people aren't good. They're all great, but it's like, I wonder did you ever come to a conclusion about any particular data about numbers?
The main thing to be thinking about
Yeah,
is so Robin Dunbar did the research
yeah,
and found that there are kind of numerous kind of like circles that we have. Obviously, Titus being like our family of like three or four or something like that. Maybe we've got
right.
some friends and community, but the human mind seems to max out at around 150
Yeah,
relationships, right? So
yeah.
Dunbar's 150 seems to be the magic number of like, if you were asked to write down all the people you know, you'd probably max out at around 150, even though there are thousands out there. I also think about like we also just kind of also have to take a more logical step that, you know, our our brains haven't necessarily evolved that much. Evolution doesn't move as fast as technology does or society change does. So yes, like our great grandparents, they only needed to engage with their immediate community. But fast forward to today where there are hundreds of even people in my inbox right now talking to me, but my brain is still the same one as back then. So, of course, it's no surprise that we just can't process the amount of information that we have about people these days. So, we need tools to help us do that.
Yeah, it's funny because I remembered that research at about 100 people, but you're right, it's 150.
Yeah, I mean,
That was
there
the,
there are
yeah,
concentric circles that go
yeah,
deeper and deeper, but
yeah,
like the biggest rung seems to be 150, and beyond that, it's really hard for you
yeah.
to, without some kind of help, maintain relationships.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but I found like when I have like a daily journal podcast I do, one of the reasons that I do it and the benefits that I underestimated when I started it is how much because I'm blessed and I'm not like and I'm sure you're the same way. I have just so many people in my life and I treasure this amazing garden of people. But I can't be in constant contact with all of them. There's just too many. And so the people who choose to listen to that stay up to date on a little bit about me. And then when I do talk to them, I start telling them a story and they're like, yeah, I know. I listened to the daily thing. And then we just get on with it. I mean, it's like we don't have to catch up. We just keep going.
Yeah. And I think you hit on one of the key kind of tenets that I very much believe in when it comes to relationship building in 2025 is that we aren't necessarily naturally interacting with each other, right? We're not grabbing coffee every day or seeing each other at the office or seeing each other at temple on, temple over the weekend. So we need to put proactive effort into that. And one of my also very much big beliefs, and one of the best things I do is I proactively share, right? So you do a podcast, I do a very in-depth quarterly newsletter where I basically like broadcast to my friends and my community, like, here's everything going on in my life. And that is still one of the best relationship building tools I do. And the coolest things have come from just sending a newsletter out to a bunch of people saying, hey, here are the books I'm reading right now.
People so appreciate that too, right? Because how many book recommendations do you get? But if I respect you and I like and I want to follow you, I mean that's the ultimate influencer thing, right? And but if you say a book is good, I might actually read it. So
Exactly. And that's why I think more and more these days, as we're increasingly being inundated with more information and more algorithmically driven content, we will rely a lot more on those trusted relationships to help us navigate the world, right? If you recommended a restaurant, I will value that 100 times more than, 100 Yelp reviews.
well, or going on Google and the restaurant paid money to make sure that they had a certain
Exactly.
score, right? Yeah. Yeah, and thank you for connecting that to the real point, which is actually where I was most interested in, which is like how things have changed. And it's not just a theory that the human relationships are going to be more important. We're already seeing it happen. So this isn't just wish casting for those of us who are into relationships.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. If you were just to even like ask yourself, like just whatever piece of content you're looking at, whether it's your LinkedIn feed or your inbox, to ask yourself, is this a real person talking to me that I know and trust, or is it something else? Like, and I think that 10 years ago is pretty straightforward. Now it's like, I have no idea.
it's only going to get worse. I mean, I saw some stuff on YouTube of like a pundit, a famous pundit, and at first I thought it was the pundit's feed, and it was an AI version of the pundit. But it
Mhm.
took me a minute, and then I went in and I saw the mouth movement, and I was kind of pissed, to be honest.
Yep,
I felt
exactly.
deceived.
We're going to trust less and less what we see and hear, and therefore we
And
will trust people more and more.
speaking of the future, what should we be talking about publicly vis-a-vis relationships that we're not talking about enough or in the right way?
It's a great question. I've been thinking a lot about this over the past couple of years, especially as I've
Mm.
done my own personal growth journey and kind of figured myself out. And I think we have to realize that the biggest blocker and the biggest tool we have is our relationship with ourselves. Obviously, relationships with other people matter a lot more, but the relationship we have with ourselves is actually one of the things that we need to think a lot about, right? Um, I'll give a perfect example. I have walked into conferences, I'm sure as you have, where it's a lot of really cool people. and I go in with imposter syndrome. Like, oh my God, I don't belong here. Look at all these cool people, and who am I, right? And so obviously I'm smaller. I don't feel I'm worthy to talk to and engage people. And of course, I'm going to have a hard time. Then I've also had experiences where I've walked into like the same conference, but I'm like, you know what? Who cares? I'm an awesome person. Everyone here loves me. I love all these people. Doesn't matter if like, they're more successful or more better financially. Like, I'm just gonna here just connect with people. Now, you can imagine that you have two completely different outcomes, and the only variable in that is my own self-confidence, right? My own inner narrative. One of the biggest blockers, for example, I hear from people all the time is, oh, they're going to think I'm salesy, or they're going to think I'm suspicious for reaching out all of a sudden if I haven't spoken to them in a couple of years. And the more we realize, like, hey, V, that's kind of just a story in your head. That's not real. And so why don't you just reach out anyways? So it's overcoming our own internal blockers. And that's why I think like I have this like body of thinking that like your network really, really starts with you.
The self awareness and self acceptance piece of it is so important. I can't really see your full value if I'm devaluing myself in a sense.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, I think that's one of the more relatable things.
Even sit down a coffee meeting, there's a big difference between saying like, hey,
Yeah,
I really hope this person works with me. What do I need to do to win their business? Versus, hey, this is a really cool person. I'd love to build a relationship and see if I can help with them.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Oh my
One
God.
shift can totally change the outcome.
It's, I don't know if this resonates with you, but the language I've been using about that is starting with the premise that the relationship is important for the relationship's sake,
Yep.
and not being obsessed with a specific outcome. And then you're probably going to get a better outcome than you even wanted. You need to be clear about your intention, but like be open to really learning about the person as a valuable human being, independent of whatever enterprise you're in.
Oh, absolutely. And if we start with that, you can then pull the thread saying, like, okay, if that, then XYZ, right? Small talk, for example, isn't just like a
Yeah.
social convention that I just have to get through, but it's an opportunity to learn more about each other, to learn about their family and their kids and their priorities, right? That if you were in a transactional mindset, like, hey, how do I win this business? You're going to skip over. But if you're saying, hey, I want to get to know this person, all of a sudden, yeah, you're going to be a lot more interested in that kind of stuff.
Okay. So listen, you know a little bit about the premise of this show, and unfortunately, this is a short version. I am like dying to have like a 3 hour Joe Rogan length.
Next time.
Like put up the tent and light up the cigars and just keep talking. But I definitely want to invite you on the show, especially to do some panel discussions. But I guess I want to know, what do you think if this show becomes the best it can be to help people with relationships? What is it going to
Yeah.
do? What is it going to do differently than what's currently out there?
Yeah. To me, I think it's like giving them the the baby steps, like the little nuggets of advice that people can implement very quickly and ask them, like, hey, what's stopping you? Right? What's stopping you from doing that? And giving people that kind of nugget of like, again, like introspection. Like, I don't know, what is stopping me from like taking out my phone, finding a random contact and just texting them, hey, just thinking of you. Like, what is stopping you, right? And like I've done that in rooms of hundreds and it's been transformational, right? And so yeah, to me it's like not giving them the full strategy, but just like what are the little small tactics that you could test out today?
Yeah, 100%. I've actually taken to the voice memo too for that.
Yeah.
If somebody pops in my head, I just do it. But hey, I'm just thinking of you today. It's so powerful. All right, I've got a few rapid fire questions. Okay, are
Let's
you
do it.
ready? Here we go. What's your favorite breakfast food?
Oh, I mean, that's obvious. It's a breakfast burrito.
It's got to be, even for the AI agents.
Yes.
Least favorite breakfast food?
Oh, like yogurt. Like, oh, even the smell of yogurt anywhere near me is just awful.
Okay, yeah, no live cultures for this
Nope.
guy. Okay, something you haven't done yet, but you are absolutely intent on doing in your lifetime.
To me, it's going on like a very long, like solo trip. whether it's backpacking somewhere or some kind of intense thing. But like, yeah, I'm ready for some like real, like crazy adventure.
This is Zvi's sojourn.
Yes, something
Do
like
we
that,
do
right?
we vlog it or not vlog it?
No
No.
vlogging, no phone, no nothing, right? You're just a journal even.
Okay. Maybe a compass. You might need a
Yeah,
compass.
whatever.
All right. What is the most overused word in business in your mind?
Honestly, I hate to say like relationship because it gets so butchered and it has lost all authenticity.
What's your best advice for a young entrepreneur who's experiencing their first failure?
Uh, it's not a failure, it's an opportunity to learn, really. And I'll give two, every successful entrepreneur and business owner and leader I know will share the 10x amount of failures they've had versus the one or two successes.
What are you most curious about right now?
I am very curious to watch how, human connection plays out over the next few years. Listen, we know that we are living in a time of increasingly accelerated change, and that's not just kind of a buzzword. Like things are really different and will be even more different. And so I'm fascinated to watch how the next decade plays out.
Me too, 100%. And I want the show to be a part of that conversation, to
Love it.
not just watch it, but help guide it. Because I want to put things out into the community that reframes, for example, what we expect a leader to be able to do around relationships, so that our expectations change, not just our judgment stick.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. And I think it's going to take all of us together to do that. We got to conspire.
Thank you for doing that.
Conspire to inspire, right? All right. Zvi, if someone goes, man, I see why Matt wanted to talk to this guy, how would they connect with you if they're interested in Relatable, for example?
They can just visit relatable.one. That's the website for the application. They're welcome to check it out. I'm very much involved and engaged with all of our thousands of customers, so always happy to chat there. But I'm also very easy to find. Just search for Zvi Band, and you're going to find all of my different social profiles and YouTube channel and everything like that. So happy to connect with people on any one of these platforms.
And your massive quarterly newsletter, right?
Yes, exactly.
I actually want to learn even more about Relatable because I think it's a great product from what I've heard. Thank you so much for taking time. We'll put your information in the show notes, of course. Is there any final word you want to say to those who are watching this?
I would say, like, first off, like Matt, thank you for doing this. Thank you for having me on and giving me the opportunity to share what I've learned with so many people. And honestly, best thing you can do right now is just to reach out to someone and just saying, "Hey, just thinking of you." That's it. Don't need to overthink it. Just do that.
Perfect ending and really the beginning of the next chapter. So I want to thank you all for listening and watching to the Building Business Relationship Show. This pre-launch phase is all about discovery. So if something sparked your interest, we would love to hear from you. Please do share your thoughts, ideas, or guest suggestions. Help us shape what the conversations become in the future. And of course, subscribe so you'll be the very first to know when we officially launch. And to do that, you can actually go to mattstone.co and you'll find your way to the show there. And of course, check us out on YouTube. And we will look forward to doing this again soon. See you next time.